Good morning. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Going to say good morning to Ken Hatcher. Apparently, he's on a train on the way to Sheffield. Hope you're not in one of the quiet compartments, Ken, or if you are, I hope you've got your headphones on, my friend. Who else is here? We've got Dan, the man, Cullen, who has been walking miles around the Westfield Shopping Centre in Shepherd's Bush, which is very easy to do. Place is like a bloody city. Steve Williamson is here as well. Good morning to you, Steve. Mark Whiting is here as well. Hope you're all fit and well. Hope you all had a good weekend. Hope you're all feeling extremely refreshed. Gary Muirhead has just joined us as well. Good morning to you, Gary. Let me press some buttons to welcome those that have just joined us. There we go. Those are the buttons pressed. Good morning, everyone. That was a weird start to the day. I walked into the kitchen this morning to find a sparrow sat on the kitchen tap. Don't know who was more surprised, me or him. Suspect it was me. Didn't scream, I promise, but it did take me by surprise. Anyway, I sincerely hope you've all returned refreshed and reinvigorated. I certainly have. Did a lot of research over the weekend. I've come back with my tail up and ready to take on the world. And that will be reflected in my after-show chat today, in which I'm going to call for a competence card amnesty. There, that should ruffle a few feathers this fine sunny Monday morning. Going to say good morning to Jim Turner, who has just joined us, and our friend Footy has just joined us as well. Haven't seen Footy here for quite some time. Good to have you back, my friend. Hope you're fit and well. Yes, in addition to all of that, instead of starting your working week with a little light reading as per usual, I can allow you to start your working week with a little light viewing instead. Last week, I interviewed a guy called Chaitin Maycott, a demolition marketing expert, who helps demolition companies make millions, literally make millions. The video of that interview dropped first thing this morning, and you can watch it using the link that I've just posted in the chat. If you're already part of our WhatsApp group, you won't need the link because you've already got it. But there you are. Let's have a look. That's not the one I wanted. I'll dig the link out in just a moment. Jim is already in on our mystery machine. It is not one of those. Where is that damn thing? Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm going to give you the link now. Very quickly. I say quickly, it's not that bloody quick at all, is it? That's the one I want. Here is the link to the interview. There you are. You can now see that. I'm going to say good morning to Mick Norton, who's just joined us. Sorry that the chat was moving so quickly, I couldn't actually nail it down. Morning, Mick. I hope you can stick around for the end of the show because I think you might enjoy it. Dan Cullen is going for the cat 992. It's not, but it's a good guess. And Footy says, other than the fact that me and the other half finishing and all that, I'm not too bad. Hope the show's going all right. Can't stop long. In another 10 minutes, got to go back to work. Still driving the rubber duck down in Dawlish. Well, sorry to hear that, Footy. I know you'd already communicated that to me, and I have responded. But yeah, hope all that sorts itself out. Anyway, before we press the button, a couple of things I want to show you. First of all, is this. Women into Construction, which is a kind of a charity, I guess, but also a training organisation. Organisation been promoting gender equality in the industry since 2008, being closed due to challenging economic climate for both charitable and construction sectors. Managing Director Kath Moore said after 16 years of changing the face of construction, Women into Construction has taken the difficult decision to cease trading. We know there's still much to do, blah, 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 blah. Over 4,700 women have had in-depth support, 3,000 completed industry training, 1,300 completed work placements, which led to an amazing 1,300 women gaining employment. Yeah, which I don't like to see charities that go. I don't, anything that is likely to impact women into construction is a sad thing. But 16 years to place just 1,300 women doesn't seem that many. Listen, far be it from me to criticise. I've never placed a woman in employment at all. Anyone see that someone from Collins got posted all over social media for shouting abuse at a pedestrian? Thankfully, I didn't. I've got to be honest. I'm going to throw something else up on the on the screen in just a second. But one of the things that you don't need to worry about it, but is something I'm planning to do. I am basically going to quit Twitter. I'm coming off Twitter. Every time I turn it on, I mean, regardless of all the political shit that goes on over there, every single time I turn it on, there's people fighting, abusing each other. Done with it. Done with it. And I've even stopped. We used to broadcast this show to it. Don't want to be part of it. Peter McKenna is here as well. Morning, Peter. And thank you very much indeed for taking the time to watch the video that I posted this morning. The man who makes demolition companies millions. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to show you very quickly before I do press the button. It is, where is it? It's this one. There you are. Muck shifters called up for £2.2 billion Abingdon Reservoir. Thames Water is starting early supplier engagement with firms interested in deliver a 45 million cubic metre earthworks programme for its new proposed reservoir in Oxfordshire. Somebody will be rubbing their hands together, I would imagine. £2.2 billion, 45 million cubic metres. Bring on the scrapers, do the job properly. Be keeping a watch on that as that one unfolds. So let me take that away. Let's see. It doesn't say much about an all-inclusive construction sector when a very proactive charitable organisation like Women into Construction folds. I think you're absolutely right. What do we got here? There is an ADT Operator of the Year. There's a number of women in it. Not sure what that's about. Was talking. Jim Turner says was talking. Play, damn you! Was talking about women in construction over the weekend online. Whilst ever we segregate people into different categories, we will have division: black, white, men, women, and it doesn't matter. If you can do the job, it's who can do the job the best, brother. That's all that matters. It is, and I do wonder. You know, maybe we'll have a chat about this at some point, which is going to lead me down another path in just a second. I wonder if that's actually helpful. I wonder if the job of organisations like Women in Construction should be raising construction rather than trying to put people into silos. As far as I know, there's no black construction organisation. There's no gay or transgender organisation for construction. Maybe there's a reason for that. All of that being said, I had an idea over the weekend. I had a lot of ideas over the weekend, actually, but this is my biggest one. Today, after the show, I'm going to be talking about my idea for a competence card amnesty. I'll bore you with that when I get to it. But it did set me thinking. I mean, I think we've done now 10 back-to-back shows where I've come up with a topic for the day and we've talked it through. I think we need a suggestion box of some description. Whereby, you know, if there's something about the industry that really gets you go or that you think needs a light shining upon it, I want to make it. So far, all 10 and soon to be 11 of the after show discussions have been my idea, me leading the way. But don't forget, I'm not in the industry. I'm sat on a little brick wall just on the outside. You guys are seeing this day in, day out. So I'd like the idea of a suggestion box so that you, and in some ways, I'm looking specifically here at people like Jim Turner, who is very active in this way. Come up with some ideas, you know, rather than, you know, posting little bits and pieces on LinkedIn or whatever it might be. Let's have a chat about it. Let's make it as public as we possibly can on a show like this. It's unhealthy to categorize people. We're all just people. We should all play by the same rules. It's as simple as that. People are people, so why should it be you and I get along so awfully? Depeche Mode. Thank you very much indeed. People are people. Jim Turner, exactly the point, 100%. We all bleed the same. Rather not get into that. Bled far too much over the years. And finally, I'm about to press the button, but finally, I'd like to send my thoughts to the family and also all the people at DSM. It is Robin Powell's funeral taking place later today. So my very, very best wishes and condolences to everybody involved in that. And while I'm about it, many happy returns to David Keane, former president of the National Federation of Demolition Contractors and one of the few statesmen the construction industry has ever had. So there you are. I'm going to press the intro now and get the actual show on the road. So here we go. Okay, just want to clarify something that Dan Cullen said. He says there's an ADT Operator of the Year, number of women, he says, and then he clarifies. Apparently, the CITB have the ADT Operator competition in September. Thanks for the clarification, Dan. All makes a lot more sense now. It is Monday, the 19th of August. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition. In today's show, Caterpillar's monster mining truck. Komatsu digs big. An XCMG giant goes to work offshore, and we're going to get into how Trimble envisages the construction future through the lens of AI. It's a good one, that is. Plus, in our after show chat, I've already flagged it up, I'm going to be presenting my recommendations for a temporary competence card amnesty. But before we get into all that, we do have the small matter of today's mystery machine coming up right after this. Chris Ford has just joined us. Morning, Chris. Morning, typical Monday morning snafu. That's Mondays are designed for the snafu, aren't they? Let's have a look. Mystery machine. Now Chris Ford is here, we can actually get it underway. There you are. That's what you're working with. I know we've already had a couple of guesses. Nobody's got the right make, model, or even machine type. So we're starting afresh. That's what you've got to work with. This bright, I was going to say sunny. It's not that sunny, but it's bright out. So that's what you've got for a Monday morning. Anybody got any clues on that? I'd love to hear from you. We are looking for a make and a model, as always. While you're figuring that out, let me take that away and play you this, because we've got our Excavator World Cup to worry about as well. Dan Cullen is going for a cat dozer on our mystery machine. It is most definitely not. Our Excavator World Cup today. Oh, it's a biggie. It is a biggie. Today's round of the Excavator World Cup sees Caterpillar going head-to-head with Hyundai. Hyundai and Caterpillar. Manufacturer with the most votes will go forward to the next round, while the manufacturer with the least will be going home. Let us know in the chat which one you prefer, just to make it absolutely 100% clear and fair. The way that the competition works, imagine I've just granted you £100,000 of imaginary money, and you are to invest it in a particular brand of excavator, and you need to choose between Caterpillar and Hyundai. And I can tell you, we've already had one vote for each. Steve Williamson is already going for Caterpillar. Peter McKenna is going for Hyundai. So as it stands at the moment, there you are. That's what we're looking at. We're finally balanced at the moment. Keep those coming in. We've had another one for Caterpillar. Gary going for Caterpillar. I was kind of expecting that to be the case, but we shall see. Stranger things have happened. Going to go back to the mystery machine very quickly. What do we have? We've got Dan Cullen going for a Bobcat S160 skid steer. It's not. And he's also going for a Bobcat S70. It's not. But let me show you a bit more. Does that help? In terms of the vote, Footy says Caterpillar every day. Dan Cullen is going for the Bobcat T590. It is not. In fact, I'll go one further than that. Give you a very, very big clue. I can tell you it is not a Bobcat of any description. Another vote in the, another tick in the box for Caterpillar. Starting to look a little bit one-sided. Going to say good morning to Digging with Dave over on Instagram. Good morning, fella. Hope you're fit and well. So yes, all things being equal, we'll come back to all of that at the end of the show. But we do need to actually start the show properly, don't we? Mick Norton says your £100,000 wouldn't get you much for a Caterpillar, therefore Hyundai is my preference purely on cost. Maybe I should have set the bar a little bit higher in that respect, but okay, that's another vote for Hyundai. Cat 226 D3. It is not one of those. Show it to you one more time just before I press the go button. That's what you're working with. Keep the guesses coming in because I'm about to start things off. Before I play you the first film, Jim Turner just says there's lots of things I can sort out, but it takes money and the backing of government, etc. No bugger is going to listen to a scruffy, rough-ass bugger like me. I've offered to stump up the land for a modular housing project as a test case. I've also offered to stump up the land for a housing-based pop-up training centre. I can't say fairer than that. Fair play to you, sir. Maybe we can have a chat about how that training centre might work. Interested in that one. So, Mine Expo draws inexorably closer, and I have my eye on the big equipment. Big equipment, a bit like this. So hoping they'll have one of those at my expo. Love to have a crawl over that. Mystery Machine, going back to that, I can tell you we've had another guess in from our man Dan, the man Cullen, who reckons it could be a John Deere skid steer. You've got the right type of machine. What you do not have is the right make or model. So let me show you a bit more. I'll take Dan off the screen just very, very quickly. There you are. Mick Norton says all that was missing from that Cat 797 quarry-based dump truck operation was autonomous. It's coming, my friend. It is coming, and it's coming fast. Anybody got any clues on that? Please let us know. Don't forget, we are still talking about head-to-head between Caterpillar and Hyundai. As it stands at the moment, Caterpillar are in a narrow lead. I was expecting them to be way out in front by now, but they're not. Peter McKenna is going for a Bobcat S70. I can tell you it is not a Bobcat of any description. Bobcat are definitely out in this. Steve Williamson reckons it could be a Takuchi TL12V-2. It's not. Let me be kind and show you a bit more. There you are. Not sure if that helps at all, but that's what you've got to work with. I'll be right back after a smidgen of this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, we've already gone big with Caterpillar, so why don't we stay that way and do so with their main rival, Komatsu. Right, back to the mystery machine. I can tell you nobody's got it yet, but we are getting a little more varied in our answers. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen is going for the JCB 3TS 3-tonner. It's not. Caterpillar 246D3, says Peter McKenna. It's not one of those either. A Case SV 340B from Steve Williamson. It's not. And there's Peter McKenna going with the same machine again, I think, twice. Am I just getting the same message over and over again? Looks like I am. Let me show you a smidgen more. In actual fact, Case SV 280 from Steve Williamson. And tell you, it's not a cat, and it's not a case, and it's not a bobcat. There you are. Now, there is... I realise Chris will probably won't be able to see this unless he's got his magnifying glass with him, but there is a smidgen of colour there. Does that help? Does that little flash of colour help at all? We shall see. Keep the guesses coming. I'll be right back after this. We don't normally do cranes here. Not interested. Don't understand them. But the film was so good, I just had to. This is XCMG, and this is how they work offshore. Yeah, nice film. Lots more guesses on our mystery machine, but I'm starting to think that I might have this one in the can. What do we have here? We've got Chris Ford is suggesting it could be a Gel. Good guess, but it isn't. Dan Cullen is going for the Manitou 1050 RT. It is not. Peter McKenna going for the 2022 Kubota SVL 65-2. None of those things. None of those things at all. Let me show you a bit more. There you are. Again, a little bit more colour. Does that help at all? Mick Norton says, best XCMG video yet. There's a lot to choose from. We've featured them quite a bit over the years. But yeah, I do agree. That, as I say, I wouldn't normally feature cranes, but I was that taken with the film. I thought, yeah, why the hell not? Let me take that away. I'll leave you to mull this over. The next film we've got up for you is about 9 minutes long, which is usually longer than our usual fare, but it is a subject that's very close to my heart, certainly. We're going to be looking at the future of construction through the lens of all things AI from the fine folks at Trimble. So I'm going to play the film for you in just a moment, but I can tell you, you have basically 9 minutes in which to guess what that machine is. Otherwise, I will win. I will probably go into second place if I win. Peter McKenna has just gone for a Case SR 175B. It's not a case. Not a case, not a Gel, not a Caterpillar, not a Bobcat, not a Kubota, not a Takuchi. It's none of those things. So keep the guesses coming in. And now sit back and enjoy a bit of a glimpse of the future.
Target detected.
New.
Next.
Now.
New. Next.
Scan complete. New. Next. Now. Next. Now.
The big trend on everybody's mind this year and over the next few years, I think, is the increasing adoption of artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities. So removing the burden of repetitive, non-value adding tasks by using artificial intelligence capabilities to automate those processes. Also using artificial intelligence as a tool to help extract additional value from the data that our customers are collecting. So AI is really great at identifying patterns that perhaps a human can't see. We're already using artificial intelligence and machine learning in a lot of our products and solutions today to automate tasks and to streamline workflows. We have capabilities in terms of data capture. We've got capabilities in terms of getting the data that is captured by our customers into the cloud, and so we can then leverage the cloud to perform analyses on data using artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques to find and extract those valuable insights.
What is Trimble doing? What is Trimble thinking about this? The AI space is so transformational, it's so innovative right now, because if you tie it back to the problems that are in the construction space right now, it goes back to too much time spent on interrogating the model, too much time spent looking for information. You want to be able to just talk to the data, right? Like verbally, or sometimes you just want to say, hey, go find me all the models that meet this criteria. But now natural language has made it so easy that you just want to have a conversation with the model, you want to have a conversation with the files, and AI has made that stupid easy.
AI has huge potential to automate processes, to improve efficiency, to drive decision-making processes, and to augment the human workforce. But beyond this generic list of capabilities, I think that organizations should look how to tie AI to their unique capabilities. Because everyone will do AI. But once you identify your unique capabilities, your unique value proposition, and you bring the power of AI and integrate this into those capabilities, you get something which is much more difficult to duplicate, and this is your competitive advantage.
I think with the rapid expansion of generative AI, it's a look back to become more predictive in the future, right? So you're using that information, massive amount of maintenance records, vegetation schedules, road maintenance schedules, bridge inspection schedules, those kind of things. You're using that information to become more prescriptive in today. So what do we do today that we can do efficiently today? And then as we go forward and to rebuild, it becomes more predictive on the cost side of maintaining the asset in the future. So embedding some of those technologies into our ecosystem, into our platform, into our data connections is super helpful for them to see a quicker outcome, a predictive outcome, a prescriptive outcome that they would not have seen before.
AI is a technology that's still very new to many people. I think there's a lot of hype around it right now. I think there's a lot of excitement, and we're still trying to figure out exactly how can we use it to maximize its value to our customers. And so I think of AI as, spell check. If you're like me and you're a bad speller, it kind of helps me find my mistakes really early. Well, AI is really good at that, right? So when we're creating designs, right, we can have AI look at our designs to say, hey, is there a better way to do this? Or can you, instead of finding my problem, just fix the problem for me, right? So today we might have error checking, instead it could be error fixing.
And that's where the confidence comes from, is the computer can only do so much. It requires the user to go in a different manner than they're used to. You can have generative AI write a letter for you. I think it's a bad idea to have it write a letter and send it without reading it. We don't want AI to do all the structural engineering for a skyscraper and just build it, right? But it can assist based on knowing how we build skyscrapers and how we've done it thousands of times before to help fill in the rebar, help tell you what the best column design is. But ultimately, the human has to make the final call and the final decision, because the most capable machine learning models we've ever put in the field are right here. And that hasn't changed.
I think personalization is a very, very interesting trend with respect to AI. I think what you're seeing is that in any onboarding experience for software, there's some generalization that has to happen. We have to make some assumptions about the end user because we don't have a perfect 360 view of who that user is, the tasks that they're looking to accomplish in the software, and the jobs that they have to get done. What we're seeing with AI is you can personalize that onboarding experience. So for example, if you're a landscape architect and you're trying to accomplish a very specific role using Trimble technology, you can interact with an assistant, and rather than getting back generic information about how you may be able to use the tools or features or services that Trimble offers, we can give you very specific information of how you can get that job done more quickly and more effectively.
I even think of things like NASA's experimenting with generative AI to build parts for spaceships. They can build things that no human would have thought of, but they're cheaper, lighter, stronger, whatever the parameters may be. And AI is able to create those things from a design perspective. You start to think about, hey, traditionally we build buildings like this or bridges like that. It unlocks this whole new opportunity of what other ways are there to build these things? How do we, release our minds from our traditional way of building things? Any AI can span anywhere from, helping us fix errors to like making recommendations on different ways to build things to actually just creating totally out of this world new designs we would have never thought of. And I think we are just at the very beginning scratching that surface.
Another very interesting trend in the market now is explainable AI. We have a challenge with AI today with a black box approach. You don't have any visibility for the decision-making process of the AI agent, meaning you don't have confidence in the decisions. And once you have an explainable AI process, this is a transparent environment, and you can understand what are the reasons behind the specific decisions. It provides the right confidence for the decision makers and help you avoid biases and hallucinations, which is sometimes happening in the case of AI agents.
The most important thing for me is how do you trust the results that are coming out, right? When we're talking about AI for construction, AI for the technologies that Trimble offers, if there's a hallucination, if there's something wrong with that solution, we're not talking about, a weirdly worded paragraph. We're talking about potential risk, potential safety issues. We're talking about tangible impact to people's lives. We take that really seriously. And I'm really proud that Trimble approaches AI under the lens of how does this solve real problems? And how do we enable our customers to trust and have confidence that when they see that end output, they know the work that went into it. And I think that's the beauty of our relationship with Microsoft, is that we can rely on our industry partners like Microsoft, who are so good at what they do in computing and artificial intelligence, that we can focus in on the construction element, our 40 years of experience out in the field, boots in the ground, in the office, working, to actually get those workflows done, that we can bring that experience combined with Microsoft's experience to deliver a more complete solution that doesn't just throw AI into technology, but rather applies the right tools to the right problems to drive real innovation that matters.
The ethics of AI are obviously a very important topic. Here at Trimble, we have an ethics panel around AI to make sure that we're following the best guidelines that we can. I'd say it is very early days in the AI enhancements in the software space. And so we are staying on top of it, making sure that both our employees and our customers are getting access to AI that we believe falls into the ethics guidelines that we hold very important here.
Going to be an interesting time, people. Interesting time. Now, we've had a couple of questions on that. Mick Norton says, will AI ever produce a facility to automatically override a particular machine function in an emergency when safety might be compromised? It exists. I can think of one off the top of my head. I can't remember what the name of the system is on the Bobcat. It's only a trial at the moment. It's only a concept. But they've got a system whereby if you let go of the levers and the machine will stop, but also if you take one hand off, that will stop. If you reach for your phone, it'll stop. If you lean out the window, front or side, it will stop. So yes, that is exactly what they're doing. AI, as the man said, the ultimate solution lies with the human. For now. Mick Norton says, why aren't the CITB driving the real innovation of AI when linked to construction? Because the CITB lives in the 1950s, which is kind of a nice way to key into our after show chat, which I'll be bringing to you in just a moment. But I can tell you, Mystery Machine, nobody got it. Nobody got it at all. Dan had a couple of goes with the GEL of various types, none of which were correct. In fact, it wasn't a GEL at all. I can tell you, it was, in fact, a Cato. It's a Cato CL35 compact track loader skid steer, call it what you like, but that's what it is. So, yeah, that's 3 points to me. Be slightly embarrassing if I win my own competition, won't it? I think it might. The other thing that we need to round off is this. How did that one turn out? Our latest match in the Excavator World Cup, I can tell you. The latest round of our Excavator World Cup competition pitted Caterpillar against Hyundai, but which brand came out on top? We put it to the public vote, and I can tell you that the winner is Caterpillar. It was tight, but Caterpillar goes forward to the second round, while sadly Hyundai leaves us empty-handed. Tomorrow's match is every bit as huge because it pits Case against Bobcat, so make sure you tune in and take part. Right, I'm not going to bother with the whole rolling the outro and leaping gazelle like, because I've got something to say. It's quite long, so I do hope you can stick around. Let me have a look just before I do that. Jim Turner says AI is so precise it will eventually do everything we do, but more efficiently. I had an engineer come to me to do me a survey. His drone maps a massive area in no time at all. I'm pretty sure he said it measures 8,000 pixels per square meter. He said if he was quanting an area, it would take into account any indentations made by track and wheel marks. A person will never be that accurate. I agree. Good morning to Toby Comley, who has just joined us over on Instagram. Long time no see, Toby. I hope you're all fit and well, my friend. So yes, the after show bit starting shortly. I'm just going to say, Steve Williamson says, we have those drones at work. Lots of people do now. Yeah, drone is very, very common use now. So, today's after show chat. I am about to hatch an egg, a concept that is both full of potential, yet tragically shackled by the weight of its own constraints. This egg is symbolic of a bird capable of soaring to great heights, yet it will never take flight. Why? Because there are too many vested interests, too many forces anchoring it to the ground. This bird represents the future of our industry, a future that is being held back by an outdated, cumbersome system that no longer serves its intended purpose. I'm speaking, of course, about the card scheme that currently dominates the demolition and construction industries. What was once a mechanism for ensuring safety and competence has morphed into a barrier to entry, stifling growth and innovation. The card scheme as it stands today is costly, bureaucratic, and a significant hurdle for both young people aspiring to join the industry and older professionals struggling to remain within it. We are facing a critical shortage of skilled workers. Current estimates suggest that we need an additional 250,000 demolition and construction workers to meet the industry's demand. The situation is dire, yet the solution to me, and I'll do that bit again as well, the situation is dire, yet the solution seems so clear. We must do away with the card scheme, at least temporarily. By introducing a 6-month card amnesty, we could open the doors of this industry to a new generation of workers and allow those already within it to prove their worth without the shackles of unnecessary bureaucracy. One second. During this amnesty, the industry could separate the wheat from the chaff in its own time-tested way. No one who is truly incompetent, I'll do all that again. I want this to be perfect. No one who is truly incompetent, who cannot be moulded, or who is unwilling to learn, ever makes it past the first few weeks. That has always been the case. The industry is more than capable of self-regulation, of ensuring that only the best and most committed individuals rise through the ranks. The card scheme, in its current form, is a redundant safety net, one that we no longer need. Consider the impact this amnesty would have on those entering the industry for the first time. The current system forces them to navigate a labyrinth of forms, fees, and regulations before they even set foot on a site. It's no wonder that so many are discouraged before they can even begin work. With a card amnesty, we would welcome everyone with open arms, regardless of their current qualifications or lack thereof. They would be given the chance to prove themselves, to get a feel for the industry, and to decide whether this is a career path for them. This initiative would require extensive outreach to schools, colleges, and universities, possibly lasting a year or more. But frankly, that's something we should be doing already. The goal would be to inform young people about the upcoming amnesty and encourage them to consider a career in construction. By doing so, we would create a smooth transition from education into employment, ensuring a steady stream of new talent into the industry. Critics of this proposal will argue that removing the card scheme will lead to a decline in standards and an increase in accidents. I disagree. The industry already has safeguards in place to protect itself from less competent individuals. Many sites now carry out their own induction processes, checks, and competence assessments. These practices ensure that only those who are capable and ready are allowed to take on more challenging and hazardous tasks. Furthermore, technology could play a crucial role in this amnesty. By continuously monitoring those who enter the industry and feeding their details into a central database, we can create a comprehensive record of their competencies. This database would ultimately serve as a living CV, documenting each individual's progress through the 6-month period. At the end of that period, those who have proven their worth can be awarded the necessary certifications and qualifications, while those who can't be guided to, while those who haven't, while those who haven't can be guided toward alternative career paths. Mentorship would be absolutely crucial in the success or failure of a card amnesty. This initiative has the potential for double benefits. It will encourage younger people to consider a career in the industry, while also ensuring that we capture the knowledge and experience of the older generation. Pairing newcomers with seasoned professionals will not only help them learn the ropes, but also make the older workers feel more valued, ensuring their continued engagement with the industry. Undoubtedly, the biggest challenge will be overcoming the negativity and pushback from those who currently profit from the current card scheme. These organisations have turned the card system into a cash cow, leeching off the industry and taking advantage of those they are supposed to serve. They will argue that the card scheme is essential for maintaining standards, but in reality, it is simply a way for them to generate greater revenue. The industry needs more participants, not more bureaucracy. If we could successfully implement this amnesty, we will have the data to prove its efficacy. After 6 months, we could conduct a comparative analysis to determine whether the amnesty has delivered the results the industry needs. If it has, then it might be time to consider the entire card scheme. If not, we'll have lost nothing. But I'm confident such an amnesty would demonstrate to the industry that it's more than capable of policing itself without the need for an overly restrictive card system. In the broader context, the amnesty could help address the skill shortage that has plagued the industry for decades. Despite countless initiatives, programs, and ideas proposed by various organisations and government departments, none have succeeded in plugging the gap. The amnesty could be the key to unlocking the full potential of the industry by removing the barriers that have prevented so many from entering it. Inclusivity is another critical consideration. The demolition and construction industry has long been criticised for its lack of diversity. It's time to change that. By conducting outreach at the school level, we can ensure that this amnesty is open to everyone, regardless of race, gender, or sexual orientation. This initiative would allow everyone to see whether they fit within the industry and equally allow the industry to see whether they fit. In conclusion, my suggested card amnesty is not just about filling a skills gap, it's about breaking free from the constraints that have been holding our industry back. It's about giving everyone a fair chance to prove themselves without the burden of unnecessary bureaucracy. It's about fostering a new generation of workers who are committed, dedicated and ready to contribute to the future of the demolition and construction industries. Now, I'm not naive. I realise that any such amnesty would require an enormous leap of faith. But if the industry could do this, if we can come together to support such an amnesty, I honestly believe we would see a stronger, more vibrant and more inclusive industry emerge on the other side. So what do you reckon, people? Let's break free from the constraints of the past, take the first step towards a brighter future for our industry. Let's give this bird the chance to fly. There you are. That's my my thought for the day. So, what have we got in the chat? Mick Norton, card schemes. Yes, they are burdensome and bureaucratic, but more importantly, they do not denote competence in their current format. That was one of my points there. You know, we are insisting upon people sitting these training courses and getting their cards purely because we've decided that's a thing. You know, it's not an actual legal requirement. They don't prove competence, as I mentioned in my chat there. You know, there's lots of sites now that are carrying out their own competency checks. You could turn up with a card that might actually get you through the door, but it doesn't actually get you to work. So if it's not getting you to work, why not do away with it and do something different instead? A card amnesty shows an element of forgiveness for the industry clowns who have got us in this state. These clowns need castigating, no amnesty for me. To be honest, the amnesty, my personal belief is the amnesty applies. Well, it applies to those coming into the industry and those that are already in the industry, but I think it could actually provide some documentary proof that the current scheme has failed. An amnesty has brought more people in, regardless of whether they've got a little bit of plastic. It will prove that there is a willingness in the wider world to actually work in construction. Think you need a new set of teeth, Mark? I think you could be right. The amount of fake cards supposed to be in the industry, that isn't helping the situation. Site managers don't help, as a majority don't check cards for validity. There's another point. Two birds here. I don't know how I came to be talking about birds, and I had a sparrow in my kitchen this morning, but that's a whole other story. So two birds here. So first of all, fake cards and site managers aren't checking cards for validity. So why have the cards in the first place? And if you did away with the cards, even if it was for 6 months, all of those criminal gangs that are out there flogging fake cards, they'll have to find somewhere else to go because there'll be no money in it. If you can enter the industry without having to pay for a competence card of some description or colour, no money in it. That's it. With a sweep of a pen, we've just driven the crooks out of business. Yes, they will turn up elsewhere. Not our problem. We could get rid of them in an instant. Jim Turner says, apart from doing away with the cards, this is just what I've banged on about for years and is all that's wrong within our industry. We need to get the younger generation by going into schools, stop the older generation leaving by letting them step and mentoring a new starter. School is the one place that has sexes and races in one place together. So that's the key to industry diversity. Yeah, exactly. As it stands at the moment, you've got a large and almost entirely male, almost entirely white, particularly in demolition industry. Okay. To invite somebody of color, somebody female, somebody of a different sexual orientation, they will be 1 in 3 million. Not quite, but beheaded that way. If you could bring in a dozen people that are a mix of male, female, black, white, purple, gay, straight, transgender, whatever it might be, to bring them all together. Because I don't think the younger generation actually recognizes any of those things. I think we as the older generation have this desire to put labels on people. I've said this before, you know, my youngest daughter went to a music college and she was required to do an end of term performance. She was a singer. She was required to do an end of year performance, and she was doing it with one of the guys in her class who was a guitarist. Made perfect sense. Guitarist and singer. Why the hell not? So she rehearsed for months and months and months, and then we went to see it. Very good it was too. Afterwards, we got in the car, and I said, at no point did you mention the fact that your guitarist was black. And my daughter's answer, which is absolutely right, which just goes to show how out of touch I am, she just went, why would I? Why indeed? Why would you? You don't. This is my black friend. This is my transgender friend. This is my gay friend. This is my lesbian. Who does that? It's nonsense. There are people with valid cards that have had them for years, but they are no more competent than newbies coming into the industry. So again, aside from the bank manager of the CITB, CSCS, NDTG, Knockin, aside from those, if anyone can give me a valid reason why we should not do away with the cards, even as a test case, even as an amnesty for 6 months, just to find out what the effect would be. When the CITB owned the CPCS card product, they deregulated in 2007 in the forlorn hope that employers would fulfill their legal obligations and undertake their own training and testing. It was an unmitigated disaster and had to be reversed in 2019. But do we need it? That's my question. In order to get on the site of a tier 1 contractor, they are going to ask for some proof of competence. Now, one of the issues here is they want proof of competence, they want proof of prior training, they want proof of experience, but they won't allow you to achieve that competence or that prior experience on their sites. It's go away, put them on somebody else's site, get them up to speed and bring them here. Find another way. Find another way. How much money I don't know how much the CITB takes in training levies, a fair few quid. It'll be well into the millions, 100 million plus, I guess. Could that not be spent better elsewhere? And again, I'll go back to the point of HS2, Hinkley Point, various other big sites are now, you apply for a job and you tell them the fact that you've got such and such, I've got a blue card, a red card, a purple card, whatever it might be. But when you get there, it's not a case of, right, here's the keys to a machine, go do your worst. It's, right, come over here into the corner, prove yourself. And if you don't prove yourself, you're back out the door again. The industry has been doing that for decades. I mean, look, even, one of our younger guys here, Steve, if his company took on a new recruit tomorrow, now, admittedly, I know Steve, and I know he would probably put his arm around the guy and try and ease him into the job and everything else. But if that guy turned up, was very, very green, let the side down, was verging on dangerous, what would he last? 2 hours? An hour? 10 minutes? We already have those checks and balances in place. And what would his defense be? If a newbie on a site, and I'm not saying just young people, I'm just talking about a newbie. If somebody comes along on site and they do something that is dangerous, hazardous, potentially risking the life of himself or those around him, or he's clearly demonstrating that he has no feel for the job, he should be removed or she should be removed. And their defense, if you got onto the machine and said, enough, you clearly aren't up to the job, them saying, but I've got a card, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Too many people that say, I've no time. We have no time for learning anyone. Too busy for that, etc., etc. All very true. All very true. And yet, the people that have got no time for training are the ones that want people to be trained. Most training courses, mobile plant, cars, HGV equipment, etc., you're taught to pass a test. That doesn't prove competence. The real learning comes afterwards. Yet pass a test in construction and you're presumed to know everything. Yeah. I mean, in absolute truth, I mean, I think that's kind of the British education system writ large. I was taught to, I was taught maths and I was taught algebra and I was taught English and stuff, but ultimately I was taught in order to get me through my O levels. How much of I mean, I don't think I've ever used algebra in my entire life. Mathematics, well, I've got a calculator on my phone now, so I don't have to worry about that too much. English, yes, English did lead me into a job, but it's the language I spoke anyway, and I already had a passion for it. So all they did was prepare me for an exam. I spent, from the ages of 5 until 16, I spent 11 years learning how to pass half a dozen exams that largely didn't prepare me for the wider world. Steve says, taking cars away, will this not increase safety risk? You'd end up getting worse numpties that say they have driven one. Adjust the way that the industry works. I don't know what site everybody's on, but don't put a newbie into a hat. Don't take a 16-year-old, throw them the keys of a 250 grand excavator, and say knock yourself out. Get them to drive a broom, get them to man the traffic lights at the edge of the site, get them to fill in some paperwork, get them experienced, show them the ropes, give them an hour on a machine at lunchtime under the supervision of somebody more experienced. Give them a feel, give them a flavor. Then, if they do show some sort of acumen and aptitude for operating a machine, for example, put them over in a corner on their own, miles from anywhere, tucked away. There's no pedestrians, there's no fellow workers, there's no other machines, there's no way they can do it themselves or anyone any harm. Get them to dig a hole, get them to load a dumper, get them to have a go, and monitor them, and use technology to do that. Put a camera in the cab so that that's logged. And if they are found at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at the end of 6 months to have operated in a haphazard, dangerous way, well, maybe they're not cut out for the job. But if they start to show some aptitude, they're asking the right questions, they're starting to get the feel for the machine, hey, maybe. I can drive that machine. Okay, pal, show me. Right, no, you can't. Off it. Now, pal, go and pick up that broom. Yeah. Let's be honest, it's not really much different to what we're doing at the moment. Llewellyn Wepner. Good morning, Llewellyn Wepner, all the way from Facebook. Some good simulators out there. Yeah, there's another point. If you've got a 16-year-old straight out of school who comes along and says, I want to be the next Steve Williamson. I really fancy a go on a sexy new machine. Okay. Go away and spend a week on a simulator first off. We will log the data from that simulator, and then we'll put you under the wing of somebody that actually drives a machine for a living. There's a live machine. Go tuck yourself away in the corner. Have a play. And I don't mean play, I mean actually go drive it, get the feel for it, and then at the end of a day, at the end of a week, we will take you to one side, out of hours, and we will actually see what you've learned and whether you're applying it properly. And yes, you might not be the finished article. I'm not expecting anybody to prove their worth as an excavator operator in a week or even a fortnight. But I think we all know those that you spot something in them. Okay, he's not great, but he's clearly grasped the basics. He didn't just jump in the machine. He's gone and checked the oil. Or, first thing he's done when he sat in the cab, put his seatbelt on, check his mirrors. Whatever it might be, whatever those little clues are, we all know what the clues are. They need the rail double cabs on sites more. Yeah, I think so. I wish there was more of that. I really do. The ability to have, as I said in that piece, somebody that's been behind the levers for 10, 20, 30 years to be able to sit beside or behind a young operator and to show them the ropes, and not, I keep coming back to this on mentorship, not just show them the ropes in how to operate an excavator, not which levers to pull and to push, or not what pedals to press, but also to show them how you become a valued member of the team. How to make sure that the dumper or the dump truck that you're loading is in the right place, tidying up around you before the next hauler arrives, whatever it might be. Peter McKenna says it's not rocket science. It really isn't. Steve says, exactly, why aren't simulators not involved in the CITB training? Good point. Jim Turner says, I put a post on over the weekend about getting practical kids into construction. Someone said the young folk aren't interested, don't listen and half do jobs. My answer was warn them. If they don't improve, just get rid and give someone else a chance. The law of averages said you'll eventually find the right person in the right job. That's how it used to be. And I think that's how it should be now. I think that's exactly how it should be now. We will find the right people, and we've all spotted them. In my line of work, I've had articles sent to me before now, contributed articles that I haven't asked for, and you by and large you look at them and you go, but every once in a while I'll get one and go, now this guy's got or this girl's got something. It's not something that I'd want to publish, but I can see they clearly have got to grips with the basics. Callum McIntosh, good morning, Callum. Steve, we looked at converting a 13-tonner to a double cab for exactly this purpose. Cost was prohibitive to scale the concept up. That's a damn shame. Pilots use simulators to help them train. Should be the same in construction. Yeah. Now, again, I think the same rules apply. And we're talking health and safety. Health and safety is absolutely paramount in construction, but perhaps even more so in the airline industry. But they do. Now, nobody is going on a simulator for, clock up their 1,500 hours of airtime in a simulator, and then somebody throws them the keys to a 747. That's not how it works. It's a combination. But the simulator helps get them used to it. The simulators are out there. Simulators are involved, Steve, at the CITB College in every plant apprenticeship delivered through the NCC. People confuse CITB and CPCS, not realising they're separate entities. It's a good point. Makes sense for the double cab. Great for the apprenticeship schemes and the sims. Yeah. Now, and again, I don't think this is beyond the wit of man. It's not something that is insurmountable. As an example from the demolition industry, AR Demolition probably trains its workers better than pretty much anyone in the industry, I would say. So when they decided to they were already at a high level, when they decided to step things up, they went out and they run, a variety of excavators, but they went out and they specifically bought a couple of Caterpillar excavators and a whole range of Caterpillar attachments, none of which fitted their actual demolition fleet. For a reason. They didn't want people to turn up for a training course to find that the shear or the grapple or whatever it might be had been pinched by somebody out on site. So they've actually got a dedicated plant fleet, a dedicated attachment fleet. They've got a simulator too, and everybody that goes through the training there is given that exclusive access. Take it a step further. Put a double cab on the damn things. Employers need to show more responsibility in the training and testing of their employees, says McNaughton. The trouble is employers usually leave the training and testing to others, often invariably white van man with subsequent problems therein. We need to take the employers to task. They're not doing enough. And I think that ultimately it kind of breeds kind of a domino effect. They're not doing enough. So the CITB, CPCS, CSCS, they're not doing enough. The people on site are not doing enough because they're not checking, and ultimately, these people that are actually delivering the training, they don't need to do enough either. If I'm going to give a card to somebody that nobody's ever going to check, just how hard am I working to make sure that person receiving the card is 100%? Am I? Am I putting my heart and soul into creating somebody that is a competent operator, or am I just doing it as somebody said, passing exam? I need to get you through this course so that you get a piece of plastic which proves that I've delivered what I said I would deliver rather, and you will therefore pay me. It's a vicious circle, the worst thing about it all is the fact that we've brought it on ourselves. We've allowed this to happen, and we've allowed it to happen for decades. While there have been changes, CPCS, CSCS, knocking, all these things, all these changes, but the CITB has been falling down for as long as I've been doing this job, 30 plus years. And as an industry, we have continued to prop it up. Every 3 years, we give them the clean bill of health, and another 3 years. Every year, we give them levy money, even though they're clearly not delivering what we need back from them. Callum McIntosh, yes, McNaughton, you're absolutely right. Employers need to do more and take more accountability. Many know fine well the training they pay for is substandard or delivered out of the boot of a car at McDonald's car park in the morning. We also need testers and trainers who have actually driven the plant. The people are learning them. There are quite a few that have never operated machines, yet they tell people how to use them. Again, going back to that mentorship and the double cab and everything else, put them alongside. Listen, I realise you'd be up before the beak if you were to do this. But imagine being, putting a 16, 17-year-old in an excavator with a long-term industry veteran behind them. And if they do something dangerous, clip them around the ear. I'm not suggesting anyone gets clipped around the ear, but that's how it used to work. That is how it used to work. And yet we've got a system. I think we can all see that the system doesn't work for anyone. It's not working for employers. It's not working for the employees. Who is it working for? The training organizations who are sat on millions of dollars or millions of pounds. Dollars? Where'd that come from? You'd think there would be a more effort to try and get people into the industry by going to these construction shows. Great place to get people. Money just seems spent so much on the wrong things. And again, this is in the grand scheme of things. If we've got a problem that big, I'm talking about a solution that's that big. I will go to Mine Expo in a couple of weeks' time, a month's time or so, and there'll be children all over it. There'll be children climbing over 797 dump trucks. And they'll be doing so in an industry, in a country rather, where everybody is eager to sue everybody else. But we can open the doors, or they can open the doors to children to give them a flavour, give them a taste, give them a feel, give them not experience, but to experience what a big dump truck looks like. Here, no. No children at our exhibitions, thank you very much. It's too dangerous. Peter McKenna, 100% says, Callum McIntosh. Peter comes back with, we're learning to drive an HGV. If I did anything wrong, I got a rap on the knuckles. Told where I went wrong. I didn't make the same mistake twice. I'll tell you. Now, as I say, I'm not proposing physical violence, but I can tell you that's how I learned to type. I was taught to type with my fingers like this. And the teacher used to balance a 2p piece on the back of our hands. So we typed like this and kept our hands still. None of this. It was like this. And if your 2p fell off, or if she decided you weren't doing it properly, ruler across your knuckles. Yeah, that's how old I am. I regularly sit on a CITB working group updating the current plant training standards. Unbelievably, trying to get employers and even training providers to contribute is like eating custard with a fork. My personal favourite expression of the moment. We often sit down as a group of less than 5 contributors. Employers and major stakeholders need a good kick up the arse. Yeah, they do. The industry as a whole needs a good kick up the arse. They really do. Llewellyn Wepner says, not being an operator myself, I've done handovers on new Cat machines, sales, and on numerous occasions I've had to suggest that the operator go for training and safety purposes. How about that? Oh, imagine that. Imagine that. You arrive at a site, you hand the keys of a nice, shiny new Caterpillar excavator to somebody, and you stand there and think, he's going to break that machine, or he's going to break himself, or quite possibly break those around him. And what does that say? I mean, how much? I mean, he could well be talking about mini excavators here, but what if that's a proper size excavator? 15, 20 ton. What's that? 150 grand, 200 grand, maybe, potentially. All bells and whistles. Couple of 100,000 quid, and you're handing it to somebody that his knuckles are dragging along the ground, and he, in seconds, somebody who actually says, "I'm not an operator, but I can see." This guy needs training. Oh, God. And calm. From 1.5 to 20 ton machine, 1.5 ton to 20 ton machines. Yeah. So you're talking a lot of money. You're talking a lot of money. And I always talk about this from a high reach standpoint, because I spend a lot of my time talking about demolition. If somebody goes and invests $250,000, $500,000, even £1 million in a high reach excavator, the person that gets to drive that is usually the creme de la creme. It's the guy that has worked his way up. He's served his time. He's now working at, let's say, 50 meters, but previously he's worked at 15, at 20, at 25, at 30. So when he goes up to that machine, he's prepared for it. But that's not as a result of different bits of plastic. That's because he's been out on site and done it for real. He's done it for real while he's being constantly monitored and managed and safeguarded. Jim Turner says every industry show should have a schools day. The kids that behave themselves should be allowed to go. They will be pre-warned months before they would get to go if they hadn't they wouldn't get to go if they hadn't behaved in the months previously. That's how my old school trips used to work when I was a kid. You know, black mark against your name in the register. No, you ain't going, pal. You will stay at the school, watch the coach leave, you'll watch all your friends go off for the fun day out, and you will stay here and do work. Yeah. Gotta go, folks. Have a good day. Peter, you do the same. I'm going to do the same, actually. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, the suggestion box is semi-officially open. If you've got any discussion points that you would like me to air and to address, ask. Say the word. Let me know. Let me know what they are, and I will do my best to discuss them. Failing that, I'll open the airwaves. You can come on and discuss them if you like. I don't mind. I wouldn't mind a day off on that. Mick Norton says, every day I read of training providers who gloat on their claim 99% pass rates for plant operators. Half the beggars are scared to fail an individual. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What does it say? What does it say? I was going to end, but I do need to do this bit. We have things like touchscreen tests. Now, I understand it's an industry that does have its literacy problems. I realise we had Footy here earlier, who is very, very severely dyslexic. Fully aware of all of that. But I am aware of the fact that sometimes people are coached through their exams. They will have somebody stood there working with them. Now, I do have an issue with it because they're basically gaining their card under false pretenses. But at the same time, my feeling on things like touchscreen tests is they're so meaningless that does it really matter? Because somebody has passed a touchscreen test, does that make them a demolition engineer? Does it make them an excavator operator? Does it make them a dozer operator? Of course it doesn't. So why bother? Why bother? Steve says, yep, way too much pass rates. Some don't even watch the operator, too busy on their phone or chatting to someone, then wonder why there are accidents. Yeah. And I wonder, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about this idea of a card amnesty. I realise my card amnesty will never gain traction. I'm well aware of that. But imagine it did. Imagine it did, and imagine it made no difference whatsoever to the health and safety record of the industry. Then what is the value of your competence card scheme? Enrique Silva says, good morning, guys. Good morning. Enrique, I don't know where you are in the world. Based on your name, Silva, I'm going to guess Brazil, Portugal, possibly, but good morning. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Enrique, let us know where you are. The show is coming to an end, but thank you very much indeed for joining us. Dig, this is New Zealand's first heavy equipment playground. It allows exactly that. Time to play on construction machinery. From mini diggers right through to 15-ton excavators, there's something for the whole family to enjoy. Obviously, we've got Diggerland here in the UK. There's also something very similar in Las Vegas. Never been. Been to Vegas maybe a dozen times. Never been to it, but there is a place like that in the States. Not cheap from memory, but I think I'm fairly sure, I don't know if this is still the case, fairly sure they used to have a D11. You could pop along, pay your dollars, and you could drive a D11. You must have a testing means of establishing underpinning knowledge. Yeah. Norwegian Earthmover says you can't read to be a great operator. You need hours in the machine, but you can get tips and tricks, YouTube, people who work with, etc. as a new operator. Yeah, you can. In some ways, coming into this industry now, Steve is a good example of this. Coming into this industry now, probably the best time ever. Steve largely taught himself, a lot of the things that his GPS system can do on YouTube. I've spoken to operators that they were given this thing, and they okay, I want to go away and teach myself how to do it. And they've gone away, they've watched YouTube videos, they've asked questions. Yeah, it's all of that information is there. There's more information on YouTube than there is in the CITB course book. Llewellyn Wepner, good places like that to learn. Yeah, I'd love to have a go. The one in Vegas you can drive. I think that's over. I think you can drive over a car with a cat dozer. I mean, who doesn't want to spend an afternoon doing that? Who doesn't? I'm there soon. Maybe I might have to swing by. Learning costs nothing. Be better and put the hours on learning. Yeah. Listen, I said at the very top of the show, I was leaving here 10 minutes ago. I said at the very top of the show, I spent the weekend researching. I've already mentioned the fact that I am launching a new YouTube channel. I spent the entire weekend teaching myself how to do the stuff that I need to get that new venture off the ground. Nobody's paying me to do it. I just want to be better. So when that thing goes live, it will make an impact. Mick Norton. And there's another point on that. Isn't that another proof of commitment? You know, if you get somebody out of school that turns up, they turn up 10 minutes late. I don't know how to do that. And you show them in the following day, I don't know how to do that. Well, you're quickly getting the idea. But if somebody comes in and says, I spent an hour last night watching YouTube videos. How does this work? I saw it, but I can't. Hey, maybe we've got somebody here, If someone enjoys something, they will learn about it and get better at it. Precisely that point. And that's the problem. Not enough folk in the industry are actually interested. 'Tis sad. 'Tis sad. I remember when I first joined this industry, the number of people that you would speak to, oh, this is fantastic, and it was, don't get me wrong, it was as rough as a badger's arse, all rough around the edges, all roughy tufty. And, there was a lot of banter, a lot of which you wouldn't get away with these days. But it was full of people that seemed to be pleased to be there. I don't see so many of them anymore. People, go have a good day. That's an hour and 18, nearly 19 minutes of your time that you won't get back. I'll be back tomorrow with, hang on a minute, something else just crept in. Mick Norton says, my first machine mentor told me in 1963, remember, Norton, good machine operators are not made, they're born. They can be molded though, aren't they? Can't they? Steve says, I miss going to the pub in work gear on a Friday with them all. Yeah, when did that start? And listen, I realised drink driving and everything else, but that used to be part and parcel. Even like not even necessarily down the pub. When I've been on sites for a prolonged period of time. Friday morning down the cafe, everyone together. You'll have your fry up and your cup of tea or your cup of coffee. You chew the fat and kind of remind yourselves of exactly what made you sign up for the industry in the first place. Don't know if that happens anymore. Jim Turner says, if someone enjoys, oh no, I've done that one. I'm drawing a line. There you are. That's me drawing a line under this show. Go and have a good day, people. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Thanks for all your input. I won the mystery machine. Pleased about that. And Caterpillar have won this round of the Excavator World Cup. Don't forget, we will be back with more of that tomorrow. I think it's Case against Bobcat. So be here or be square. Till then, everybody, have a good day. All the best.